In the heart of Thomas County, Georgia, a grave injustice has unfolded, marring the trust of a community. Let's take a moment to reflect on the gravity of a complaint lodged in August 2019. The case involved a 2.5-year-old girl who, it was claimed, had been sexually molested by a man named Jackson Groom. The seriousness of this allegation is profound. Yet what followed was a tale of negligence and deceit that has shaken the foundations of the community's faith in their protectors. The complaint was filed with the Thomas County Sheriff's Office, the very institution entrusted with maintaining law and order, with safeguarding the innocent, and with bringing the guilty to justice. Yet, in this case, the system seemed to falter, to stumble, to fail in its duty. This isn't just a case, it's a chilling testament to the failure of the system. At the helm of this investigation was none other than Timothy Watkins, the chief investigator. He claimed to have personally conducted an in-person interview with the accused, Jackson Groom, and his attorney, Joseph Cargyle. A claim made with the utmost confidence and repeated with relentless consistency. But as we dug deeper into the case, a different story began to emerge. The accused and his attorney, they told a tale that starkly contrasted Watkins's account. They declared that they had never attended a meeting with Watkins in his office. The chief investigator, it seemed, had woven a web of lies around his involvement in the case. The man who was meant to bring the truth to light had instead decided to bury it under a mountain of deceit. Watkins, who was meant to uphold justice instead, chose to shroud it in lies. The cries for justice didn't stop at Watkins's dishonesty. With a resolve that echoed their desperation, the complainants escalated the issue to the next level. Their hopes were pinned on Sheriff Carlton Powell of Thomas County, Georgia. Sadly, Powell, the man who was supposed to uphold the law and protect the innocent, chose to turn a blind eye. Despite the glaring inconsistencies in Watkins' narrative, despite the undeniable evidence pointing towards his negligence, Powell chose to side with his colleague. The words he uttered still ring with a chilling indifference. "I trust these men." His trust, however, seemed misplaced. Was it placed in Watkins, who had already been proven dishonest? Or was his trust in the system that was failing the innocent? The complaint, a desperate plea for justice, was left unanswered. The cries for help drowned in the deafening silence of a system that was supposed to protect and serve. Unanswered and ignored, the complaint remained a silent plea for justice. Today, the man who lied about his involvement in a critical investigation stands as a candidate for Thomas County Sheriff. Timothy Watkins, who once served as a chief investigator, is now vying for a position that demands utmost integrity, honesty, and dedication to justice. But given his track record, can we really trust him with such a pivotal role? Watkins has shown a disregard for the truth, a willingness to ignore evidence, and a blatant lack of integrity in the handling of a serious complaint. His candidacy is not just a matter of political intrigue, it's a serious threat to the justice system in Thomas County. Imagine a sheriff who lies, who neglects his duties, and who turns a blind eye to injustice. That's the reality we could face if Watkins prevails in the upcoming election. A leader is only as good as their word, and Watkins' word has proven to be unreliable. Thomas County, Georgia stands at a crossroads. The choice between truth and deceit lies in the hands of its residents.
Mom and stepdad both invoked for an attorney. They came down here, and I can't remember if it was with Chris Rod and Joe Carlisle, I believe, were the attorneys. They both invoked, and when we could ask them, and I tried to explain this to her, once they invoked for an attorney.
I don't remember if I physically was up there with my client at the same time, and there's an opportunity sometimes for your client to ask for an attorney to be present if they're going to go through a formal interview. And I don't seem to remember being in that position where he formally kind of in a recorded setting or on a recording, we're sitting there and we say, look, we're not gonna interview. I don't think it ever got to that formal situation, but I'm sure I was obstructing somewhat, and I'm sure I was at some point in the middle of trying to facilitate that interview, and we just never were in a position where we sat down to do the interview.
I have a question. Where did the interview take place with the lawyers?
In
Which room?
my office, again, for the 15th time, in my office. They showed up with their attorneys.
I don't remember if I physically was up there with my client at the same time.